Against all odds, the All Blacks have won the quarterfinals and cancelled out the hot favourites. They got their revenge against Ireland and they won this game. And you guys know me, I'm a Springbok supporter, but today I've got to wear this. I live in New Zealand and I've got to say to every single one of you All Black supporters, well done to your team. And boy, you know, this is the thing with the All Blacks. Big games, big match temperament. And man, we are flying that Southern Hemisphere flag quite high here. We see Argentina has gone through in that quarters versus Wales. And today we see the All Blacks win this one. Amazing game by Sam Cane. I mean, that was the one guy, guys, that I said to you, I'm not a big fan of. But he's not been the greatest in this World Cup. But today, him and Sevilla, how good with both of those guys on the breakdowns. Against all odds, 2 cards in this game, grinding out this win. But I've got so much to unpack, so let's get right into what happened in this game. And the game started off, we could immediately see a different All Black side when it came to those loose forwards. They were ferocious over the breakdowns. They were cleaning out really well. You could see the Irish also, the same as against the Springboks in Scotland, very, very competitive at those breakdowns. But the All Blacks right up there as well. Adi Savia, outstanding. At the start, the All Blacks playing phases, getting most of the ball. And those first 20 minutes from the All Blacks, again, same as Mount Smart against the Springboks. Outstanding first 20 minutes. They really got the dominance early in this game. Early, a penalty. Mohanga converts. Ireland not rolling away. And the first 3 points on the board for the All Blacks. Only on 8 minutes do you find that the Irish start getting their hand on the ball. Before that, really, just All Blacks all this time. Unfortunately, Adi Savia again being called by Barnes, not rolling away and giving away a penalty. Ireland gets their first opportunity, and I've got to say, guys, when you stand back and look at this game now, everyone kind of, like all the Irish love the fact that, the Irish fans love the fact that the Irish go for the corners and want to just score tries. Fair enough, but you have to acknowledge this is a quarterfinal. You know, going for the corner instead of the points. I know high inside after the game now you can say, yeah, you want to say all these things. There were just 4 points in it. 4 points in it is exactly the point. If they took their penalties and they played a safe game and tried to work with a scoreboard pressure, this could have been different for the Irish. But the Irish going for the corner, thinking they're going to get the try. Irish getting the line out, trying and really moving the ball around. The Irish moved it out wide and there was space for the Irish out wide. But very loose, goes too low, nothing happens with, of course, Adi Savia over that ball, jackling, and it's a turnover for the All Blacks. And the All Blacks are all over the Irish in this first part of the game. I mean, Geordie Barrett, what a kick. From the halfway, he kicks it right through the middle, from the halfway line, and 6-0 for the All Blacks. Ireland playing the patient type game that they do. They move it across the field. So what they do really well is they basically move it from the left to the right, play, a lot of the blind sides, and just keep moving the ball, keep moving it around, eventually seeing some space out wide, trying the cross kicks, and finding some space, but not really being able to do anything with it early in the game. And I mean, we go on like this 17 minutes into the game. Ireland tried some stuff. They tried to move the ball. They can't do much of it. Here you get Sam Cane with a jackal right over the ball. Turns around, another ball for New Zealand. And you just feel all the momentum at this point is with New Zealand. And then the special moment. I mean, this is one thing that the All Blacks did really well in the first half. They were looking for that space just behind the defense line. You get Geordie Barrett retrieves the ball and he does this little, just like a chip over the defense line. It bounces perfectly for him. He goes in for the tackle. They move it out wide. It goes to Lester Funganuku. He plays it right back into Ioane, and Ioane plays it right back out, and Funganuku through in the corner for a try. And boy, it's all Blacks at this point. Mohanga from quite a difficult kick converts it, and suddenly it's 13-0. And you can see the Irish trying everything, but kind of a little shell-shocked at this point. The All Blacks just totally dominating that first 20. From the kickoff, tough call, man. I didn't even see really how Frizzell actually even touch anyone much, but apparently in the way, and Barnes gives a penalty straight away and within kicking distance for Sexton. Basically Barnes saying that Frizzell came in the way of the player. Sexton obviously converts that and suddenly it's 13-3, 10 points in it. I can't remember the player, but at some point there's a tackle. It's a little bit high. It's really just on the shoulder. to face. There's no face contact, and I thought, oh, Barnes now is going to start pulling out cards. He doesn't. He just gives a penalty. The TMO reviews it. He only gives a penalty. And I was glad to see that the game was still being, left to flow at that point. But again, guys, that's the inconsistencies in this World Cup. Sometimes a shoulder to head, you get a yellow. Other times they just give a penalty. It's just the way that rugby is right now. It's either going to go your way or not. Not long after that, we find the Irish are starting to play through hands. They're finding space out wide and finding space to run the ball. They were really running at the All Blacks. This was not, even though the scoreboard was showing the All Blacks in front, the Irish was really coming at them, from all angles, trying to run that ball, moving the ball often right across the field, finding space out wide with the All Blacks, into the corner for a line out. And boy, that's another thing that this All Black team was just better than Ireland in this game. And that was the line outs. They steal an Irish line out and basically, averts the threat, which was really, really imminent at that point. Then Barnes giving some penalty somewhere for the All Blacks playing a man without the ball. Penalty to Ireland. Ireland again looking to run the ball. They run it through their hands, and eventually, that's what I like about Bundi Aki, guys. I was still, to me, the best centre in this World Cup. He's just been outstanding. So strong. He's so strong in the tackle. He breaks the tackle. Of course, a lot of All Black supporters will say, yeah, but he is a New Zealander. And it's funny enough, in this game, it was the New Zealanders that's playing for Ireland that scored the tries. He breaks the line and he scores a beautiful try. It was really an amazing try by Bundi Aki. And although Ireland's out, I've got to say, that was one guy that I really enjoyed in this World Cup, watching right through this World Cup. He's been outstanding. Sexton converts, and it's a different game. It's 13-10. Boy, it's on. This is exciting. Anyone watching is on the edge of their seats. This is an epic battle all the way to the end. We see the All Blacks, you got to be a little bit worried, because as soon as the Irish get the ball out wide, there's space all the time. And you do feel somewhere the Irish are going to break, and you feel the momentum shifting a little bit to the Irish. What the All Blacks did really well with their ball is they did these little chips over the defense line that worked really well. We saw Mwanga doing that again, and often retrieving those kicks, which was amazing. The bounce of the ball just going their way. Ireland again losing the line out to the All Blacks. The All Blacks winning another one of the Irish line out. And that's one thing that they failed in this game. The All Blacks get a penalty, and right again they are in the Irish half. The All Blacks move it quickly through their hands, and Savia gets a beautiful ball. And man, the try that he scores in that corner was just astonishing. Like, he flies. I mean, for an 8th man, the size of Sevilla, he's just such a player. He goes through the air and just puts that ball down in the corner, and what a fabulous try. They try and review it to see if there's any forward passes, nothing of the sort, and it's another try for the All Black. Unfortunately, Mwanga misses the kick, and it's 18-10. You feel all the momentum has shifted back again to the All Blacks, and then this is where it started getting a little bit scrappy in the game. One finger from Aaron Smith, unfortunately touching that ball. Now, guys, unfortunately, rules are rules. There's nothing you can do. And because he just touched that ball with his finger, these referees, some are a little bit more lenient, but immediately calling for a yellow card. And that's the thing, is how, aggressive do they want to be on these calls. With the Aaron Smith call, they unfortunately send off Nagy, and suddenly it's 14 versus 15 for the All Blacks, and they are under pressure. Yellow card, 10 minutes off. And man, now you can immediately see, now it's tough, because now the All Blacks have to play with 14 men. And they have to kind of move players around on the field. Eventually, Muhanga going in to basically feed the ball in the scrums. And the Irish know this is the opportunity. They go for the corner again. They get that rolling ball going, and we could see that's one thing that the Irish, I felt, was really good. I think better than the All Blacks was on the rolling ball. The All Blacks could stop some of their rolling balls. This one just finds a lot of momentum. Gibson Parks breaks away. He knows that Smith is not there to defend him, and he goes over for a try. And it's an ex-New Zealander himself playing for Ireland, scores the second try for Ireland. And Ireland is right in this game. They convert the kick, and it's 18-17. And boy, we're going into halftime, guys, with an epic battle on our hands. It was back and forth. I got to feel first half was the All Blacks, The Irish tried a lot of stuff. They moved the ball around, and there's definitely concerns around, when they move it out wide, the All Blacks leaving too much space for those wings to run. But I do feel the Irish did not use all the opportunities out wide as well as they could have. Some of those cross kicks worked well and bounced their way. but such a close game between these two teams. You have to go into halftime and say, from an All Black perspective, Sam Cane, I mean, say no more. I take back all my words on that guy. He was so much better than Frizzell on the field. Frizzell was kind of quiet. He was being driven back. Not Sam Cane. Sam Cane was ferocious over the breakdowns. Amazing. And then, of course, Xavier as well. Very good game. And then the other guy who was really, really instrumental in this game for the All Blacks was, of course, Geordie Barrett. Those clever little kicks just over the defense, over the defense line, and retrieving a lot of those balls and putting the Irish under pressure with that broken play. And that's where you know the All Blacks will score tries. Guys, I told you this game was not going to be just like a tight game like with the Springboks. It was going to open up because both teams like to run the ball. From an Irish point of view, poor in their lineouts, was really good at moving the ball. They were very patient, good handling, and very patient playing through phases. But you got to say, the biggest problem, they're going to have to look back at this game and say now, why did we not take more of those points? Dare I say, a little bit of arrogance and maybe just too much confidence having won, 13 on a trot or whatever, feeling we can just score tries and we will outrun the All Blacks. This is a quarters. They should have acknowledged that this is a quarters and respect it for what it was. They left a lot of points on the field by not going for the penalties and rather going for the corners. And I just feel, Ireland did leave points on the field. But let's go into the second half. Second half, the All Blacks, you can see, come with a different kind of approach. They know that Smith's still off the field. And what they do really well in the second half is slow the game down a bit. Now, how they do this is with the up and under game. They didn't play the up and unders in the first half. They were playing more of a territorial type kicking just over the defense. Second half, changing the approach totally, playing the up and unders and being really, really competitive under the up and unders. And all the up and unders was contestable up and unders. And you could see they were winning that battle with the up and unders. And that put the Irish under a lot of pressure. And they were able to kind of play down the clock to get Smith back on the field because they knew they had to do something else to kind of run down the clock. And the up and unders worked really well. They slowed down the ball, played through phases, but really slowed down the game. And you kind of feel from that speed in the first half with the Irish really running it through their hands, it's just a little bit slower. You sometimes find that it looks like a Sexton's not really running when he's got the ball. He's kind of very stationary and just not the pace that you saw from the Irish in the first half moving the ball around. I mean, the Irish had loads of space out wide. I must say, the All Blacks going in, closing in on the back line, but often if they get those cross kicks through, and he did really well, retrieved the ball and still got a little kick through and got a 50-22 in, guys, which means when you get to 50-22, you retrieve the ball again when you can kick it out. And getting that 50-22 from within his 22, moving it out wide, Ireland, and getting that kick in. And that means Ireland gets the ball back. Again, the Irish trying the cross kicks, one to O'Mahony, he knocks it. They trying to use that space out wide, but it just wasn't coming off for them. One guy that was really making meters because he was running direct, where I find a lot of the other Irish players out wide was just not breaking the line enough. But Aki, every time Bundi Aki got the ball, he was making loads of meters, and he was very instrumental for that Irish team. Because generally, you got to say, the All Blacks had pretty good defense, even though they left the space out wide for the Irish. The Irish couldn't do much with that space, but they were really good to close down the centres and the fly-offs so that they couldn't break the line. And even Aki, they were pretty good at defending. They were just not pressing the defence. They were not like the Springboks pressing defence. They were a bit more patient with their defence, and that did leave space for the likes of Aki. He was making meters over the gain line every time that he got the ball. I mean, Ireland moving the ball left and right over the field all the time, looking for opportunities, playing a very patient game. It is a really, really good Irish team, guys. And they played a very patient game, and they were right in it, right through this game. You see Smith returns to the field, and that means the All Blacks can get a bit of structure again in their game. One thing the All Blacks did is we saw a different type game from the All Blacks. The All Blacks usually likes to move it out wide. They didn't really move it out wide that much in this game. They were playing it down the middle, trying to not isolate and make sure that their forwards are there to clean out. The likes of a Xavier and a Cane was outstanding at that. So playing it right down the middle often and trying to break the middle of the Irish defence instead of trying to play it out wide. Xavier is over one of those balls. You hear even the commentator said in favour of the Irish, the ball wasn't out. So one go in the All Blacks' ways. they get a jackal. They felt that the ball wasn't necessarily out from Ireland. So maybe not the right call from Barnes again. But nevertheless, the All Blacks get it and over the ball, and they are able to again exit and play to the lineouts, which they are so strong in. And at this point, you see every time that the Irish get the ball, they want to do those little wide kicks. They do the run around, loop around type style that they do, you know, where they play quick recycling ball, run onto the pods, and then as soon as the person's tackled, they play the run around. But they weren't breaking the line. Then what they tried to do is do the cross kicks. But at this point in the second half, you feel the All Blacks are starting to read those cross kicks that they kick. Hansen, injury, calf or something, O'Brien comes on, and that already for the Irish, you know, Hansen and O'Brien is not quite the same players, and they need good players on the wings because that's where they have the space. Not that O'Brien didn't play well. All Blacks keep playing the up and unders, and that slows down the game a bit, just so that the Irish, they don't allow the Irish to just run them all the time and hold on to the position. A lot of it is contestable ball. Even though they kick it, they often retrieve it. Ioane is not rolling away. Barnes calls it, and a penalty within striking distance for Ireland. Funny, the Irish for the first time decide, hold on, we got to start taking our points or we're going to lose this game. Sexton then deciding to go for posts, and guess what happens? And you almost never see this from Sexton. He misses the kick, and boy, now you see, for the first time you can see the Irish are actually under some pressure and also starting to show some flaws in their game. And the All Blacks able with their style of type of game, where the up and unders and kind of challenging them at the set pieces, especially the lineouts, now starting to put some pressure on Ireland where they have to try and score points. Murray comes on for Park. We've got Whitelock comes on, I think maybe for Retallick or Barrett. And one thing I find interesting, later also they bring on Anton Leonard-Brown. Both the props had been brought on, Newell and Tamati Williams, but no Christie. Now guys, I told you this, like, I don't understand what Foster's doing. Does he just want to make Christie happy to be part of the 23 but not use him? Now we know Smith is world class and maybe he felt he's got to stay on the field, but at the same time, if you've got a bench, use it. You've had one player there he couldn't use. He could have maybe played like a forward, or he could have definitely, if he wasn't going to use Roygaard, he could have played someone else that he could use. But I don't understand it, why he's not playing Cam Roygaard, guys. I'm not going to go down this. The All Blacks won. It doesn't really matter. But to me, Roygaard should have been there. Roygaard should have been there. And you see Sexton and Gibson Park really trying to milk some penalties. Sexton once saying to the ref, oh, Whitelock did not roll away, and kind of expecting a penalty. And what does Barnes do? He gives the penalty. Ireland then decides to go for the line out. Decide, again, they won't go for the points. They go for the line out. And this time it comes off for them. The rolling maul really gets a lot of momentum, and it's the one thing where I think Ryan is going to be really upset, the forwards coach, and the poor defense from the All Blacks there. They've got a lot to work on when it comes to that defense on the rolling maul. Just letting Ireland get that rolling maul going, collapsing it in the end. And man, how tough was Barnes on that? But we know how the referees are around mauls and collapsing mauls. Deciding to give a penalty try and also pulling out the card and sending off Taylor for basically pulling down the rolling maul. And suddenly Ireland's right back in the game. But this is the thing with the Irish. They play a very patient game and they will just keep working at it. And they backed their game, which was a running game, which now, hindsight, stepping back, you can say, oh guys, maybe that was not the right decision. But that's what they went for. And I mean, this game came down to 4 points. So it is what it is. In the scrums, the All Blacks also really good, especially Tamati Williams on their tight end. I mean, the scrum basically kind of spinning, and you're thinking, oh, but it looked like the Irish had a better scrum. But on that tight head side, we see Tamati Williams really, really good. You know, matchup from Tamati Williams. That boy is like, what, 23 or something, up against bigger players and just like older players and experienced players, but really standing his ground. And I was pleasantly surprised at how well Tamati Williams played, and I think he's a great future All Black. And Barrett gets a kick, a penalty kick. The All Blacks want to go for the kick, and again, what happens? You start seeing the pressure pushing these guys, and Barrett usually will put this through. It is at a bit of an angle. He misses it, guys, and it's 24-25 for the All Black. Because of the card, you see Coles come back on for them to make the scrum work. They obviously make some shifts there to make the scrum work, and you see now again the All Blacks are playing with 14 men. Barrett again bombards them with those up and unders. Somehow in the air, it looks like, I don't know if the Irish was tripping themselves or whatever, but at the end, the penalty going the way of the All Blacks in the up and under, and the All Blacks get another opportunity at a shot to the post. Barrett converts it, and it's 28-24. What I sometimes get very frustrated with when I watch these games is I want to look at the replay a few times, but clearly World Rugby don't want us to look at it too much. So I know it's a game and it's got to move on. You can't play it, the replays 100 times, but I couldn't really see what happened there. At the end, the All Blacks get the penalty, and it's 28-24. And I mean, the Irish couldn't do much in that second half. They tried to run the ball, but they weren't really finding the space they were in the first half. They looked a little bit flat, man. Towards the second half, they started looking like they were a bit tired. They didn't have that speed on the ball that they usually have. And eventually, Sexton breaks a tackle. A little bit later in the game, Aki's over a ball. Jackal, great at the breakdown, so quick, Aki. He's such a good player. And another penalty for the Irish. And what do they do again? They decide to go for the corner. I mean, this game's close, guys. There's 4 points in it. Ireland goes back to the rolling maul. And again, very successful in that rolling maul. Just rolling the All Blacks. And the All Blacks really poor in those rolling mauls. And I don't know, some like I think it's magic from Jordie Barrett. How good was Jordie Barrett in that back line, in his defense and everything? Jordie Barrett somehow finds himself under the player. He kind of slides himself under the player, and he holds him up, and it's not a try for the Irish. And this was a pivotal point in the game. It was 70 minutes. I think if the Irish was able to score that rolling maul try, this game might have gone the other way. But I mean, Jordie Barrett, take my hat off to that guy. He had an outstanding game. And, you know, he wasn't playing your general just inside center type game. He was almost playing like a fullback back as well, like often playing the kicking game as well. And that's the thing that the All Blacks have at the moment, is a lot of kickers on that field. And that helps them a lot, because if you can do clever kicking with all those type players, it really helps the team a lot. I mean, the All Blacks now using a lot of kicking, playing down the clock at 72 minutes. You can see the All Blacks are starting to play down the clock. Not really gaining much on those phases, but just playing phases, trying to run down the clock, and then eventually putting kicks through, but kicking them too far so that it's dropouts. So all they're basically doing is trying to keep Ireland in their own half by working through phases and then little kicks just over the line to get the dropouts, and just it comes back again. Barrett goes for some kind of drop goal attempt. It wasn't really great. But then again, another, dropout, and all that you can see the All Blacks are trying to do is just keep that pressure on the Irish and play in their half. How good was Anton Leonard-Brown when he came on the field? He had some big hits in his tackling. The Irish still trying to run it. They move it. They kick a little bit further in their drop-offs. Try and run the ball. The tackles from Anton Leonard-Brown was amazing. He was a really, really good substitute to come on and really had an impact on the game. The Irish had a lot of opportunities. They held on to the ball, but they were so stagnant and they looked flat in many ways. Trying to move it through their hands, but not breaking the line. Getting even some space out wide, but very flat, not doing anything with it, and just trying everything. I mean, it went over the clock like 2 minutes, and you're like, oh, it's close. The Irish obviously looking for the try, because the conversion won't be enough, because they gave away so many opportunities to go for penalties. So they now have to score try. They're trying everything, but they're not getting answers. The All Blacks are just patient in their defense, and the Irish are moving it around, but just not finding enough space. Get 1 or 2 breaks, but nothing serious where it really opens up for them. The Irish was patient. They're trying, and eventually the penalty comes for the All Blacks. Southern Hemisphere all the way. All Blacks win it. And I am quite happy as a Springbok supporter and living in New Zealand, and today All Black supporter for sure. So I'm quite happy with this. Guys, the All Blacks made it. And you know what? Well deserved. You can say what you want. They showed the big match temperament, and they just show, look, we are the more experienced team. We know how to grind out games. When I'm saying experience, again, the Irish fall out in the quarterfinals. And they're going to kick themselves, because they had great opportunities to win this game. They did not take their points, and they have to look back at this game and say, we made the wrong decisions. We were going into this a little bit too confident, thinking we're just going to run the All Blacks. The All Blacks have got an ability through very tactical kicking to always keep themselves in a game. And when the big games come up, they are ferocious at the breakdown. They were again in this game. Sam Cane, wow. Severe, wow. From a backline point of view, Jordie Barrett, those kicks was amazing. So, well done to the All Blacks. just generally, with 2 cards, a penalty try, still winning the game. Think about that. 2 cards and a penalty try still wins the game. It just shows the ability. All Blacks have always done this. I've seen this even when they play against the Springboks. They have a way that even if the momentum is with the other team, they keep themselves in the game. And they play the patient type, strategical kicking. And eventually it always comes down to the wire with them. And there's been some flaws in their game this year in some games. Against France you could see. But boy, have they found their form now and they're playing like the All Black team we know. And boy, it's going to make for great semi-finals, but even better finals. For me, Springbok supporter, I want to see them. I really want to see. I want to see the Springboks win tomorrow. I want to see Fiji win, and let's make it an all-South semi-final. It's going to be tough for Fiji, and it's even just going to be as tough for the Springboks because they are playing against odds there. All Blacks, you enjoy your moment, and I'll give you more after the game with the Springboks versus France. The grind showed that they were the better team on the field. And there's now a team to be reckoned with. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, guys. I'll appear on your home screen like I said before. And the next one, my team, the Springboks. Can they pull it through? Oh man, they got to do this, guys. They got to do this for us Southern Hemisphere guys. North versus South. You got to love it. And guys, if you're from the North and you watch this, look, I mean, respect. Respect to the Irish. I felt that they kind of made poor decisions today and they could have won this game. They have to step back and say, if we just took some more of those points on the field, they could have won this. It wasn't meant to be. Well done to the All Blacks. They grinded it out and what a game. See you in the next one. Bye.